All right, there's a lot of different things you can do once you go to the Troy Library. A lot of people just jump right here and start searching. You can do that, it's totally fine. The better option is to scroll down here to resources and to select database and actually go to EBSCO, EBSCO databases combined. Click that and click go. Now you can just search here, or you can do a little bit more advanced stuff. These are fields, so whatever you put into this search line, it's gonna, and if you select a field, it's gonna look specifically in that field for that search term. You can choose and or not from here, and then there's some toggles that you can toggle on and off down here. So a lot of this you won't use. So let's say that I'm looking for information about health communication, and let's say that's important enough that I'm just going to leave it as all fields. Let's see, family. Let's say I want this to be specifically so specific that it's mentioned in the abstract. So at the intersection of health communication, family communication, and the elderly. And let's say that's important enough also that we want it to be at least in the abstract. Now here I'm going to choose peer-reviewed. You know, I'm going to be pretty liberal on what I'm looking for here, but I do want to be in this millennium. So let's say that we're going to do, let's say 2010 to today. And we'll leave the rest of that the way it is and hit search. This brings us up to another page. Once you're here, you can just start doing regular searches up here and using filters. And there's also this natural language option. So I've come up with 919 results. That's an awful lot. So what I like to do is go to my filters. So I click all filters, and this brings up this panel over here. And I like to go down to look at publication. So this lists it in terms of like how many articles that fit these search terms are in that particular journal. And actually we can do a search term, communication. Communication in societies. Yeah, not a whole lot else. Some of these are not bad journals, but I just don't think they're going to be about communication. And let's say I'm looking for something specific to communication. Plus I want to get the number down. I'm not looking through 900 articles. Okay, so now we're down to 22. And it says 22 results, but the reason why is because these are going to be repeated in other journals. 5 unique records. All right, so now let's go up here and let's do a whole new search. So what I want to do is I'm going to clear all my filters. Actually, let's go ahead and use the natural language. I need peer-reviewed. Okay, so some key things that I was looking for here. I was looking for peer-reviewed. I was looking for chatbots, debate, and I wanted it from journals that are focused on debate. It looks like the words communication and debate are all in the abstract, as you can see here. Business Source Ultimate. I'm not sure that it paid much attention to the type of journal that I was looking for. Here we got interactive learning environments, also not debate and argumentation focused, but it does have all this wording. So let's go through here and look and see if it got any of them right. Business Source Ultimate, interactive learning environments, education, technology, and society. This one's going to be just so wide open, right? That like I know this journal and it's so broad that yeah, it probably has several articles about debate. And this is actually I know this article. This is it's a okay article. So this is what we get, right? And I can tell you now that like this is not showing all of the results that it should show. And so it's just one way of searching and not seeing everything. And so that's the problem that you're going to run into when you are using any sort of technology that searches databases. Okay, so let's go back here and see if we can find a way to get better results. So let's say that I'm still looking for something that has to do with debate. Oh, and let's say we want that in the abstract for sure. And let's say we want chatbot or chatbots in the abstract. Let's just keep it that simple. We'll click peer-reviewed, make sure we have it on peer-reviewed, and we'll hit search. Yeah, 300 or 250 results. So we're not doing that. And so we want to go back into the all filters, publication date, we want to do the past 12 months, publication, and find publications that we're interested in. So we don't want, let's say we want to get communication focused publications and not just technology focused. So no, maybe. All right, this gets us down to 12. These are the results. Why do I flake at the last minute? Yeah, this is about training chatbots. This is about ethics and research and writing. This is about custom GPTs. This is the end of the results, so there's only 6 unique records. This gets us down to something that we can start working with. Now that we have our results, what do we do with them? In some cases, you're going to have a little button here that says access options. And if you have that, you can just click download PDF and it'll download your PDF. In other cases, you won't see that option, but you might want to see this article, get to this article. So let's click on this one, and this pulls up more information about it, abstract, entry date, etc. Now, if you come over here and you click this download button, what's going to happen here is that you're going to end up downloading just the EBSCO export. It's not the actual article. It can be very frustrating. So the issue that we have here is that this article it's not available. We can't seem to find it this way. And this happens a lot with some libraries. So one of the things that you can do to try to get around that is to just copy the entire title and then go back to the library homepage and choose title and use your quotation marks and just search for it that way. And then it pulls up the results and gives you your access options. And as you can see, this one's not available, so we're going to click request through interlibrary loan. We're not going to walk through how to do the interlibrary loan, but you just want to make sure that you have all of the fields that say required filled out, and then hit submit, and you should have it relatively soon. One thing I would suggest is putting a needs by date about 5 or 6 days out. Let's deal with the one that we can get. Right, so here is this article that's about ethics, and we're going to click PDF. Sometimes it just downloads directly, sometimes it opens up another page. And here's where you can click download. Once that's downloaded, you're going to open it up in Adobe Acrobat Pro and read it. Another thing you might look closely at is the references, just to sort of look at the years. This one is citing a lot of new research, which makes sense, because we're dealing with relatively new technologies. However, it's also talking about ethics, and so one would expect to see, there we go, Derrida, some older texts that are going to set the foundation for the ethical discussion. Foucault. There are a lot of citations in this article. I'm a heavy citer, and this is a lot of citations. Well, this is what we have in the age of artificial intelligence, though. You're going to notice that bibliographies are going to get a lot bigger, but we'll talk about that in another video. Okay, now that you've downloaded your article and you've looked it over, if you know that as an article that you only need certain things from, or if you just need to look it over to see if it really is something that you want to use, you can search for other keywords within text by using Control F or Command F, depending on what you're using. You can find in text certain keywords, key phrases. There are some other options, but you have to consider carefully using them. You have to make sure that you're using them ethically. Remember, never do anything with artificial intelligence that you wouldn't want your friends, family, and teachers knowing about, because your data is never safe. That said, I have built a custom chatbot on ChatGPT, and if you have an account, especially if you have a paid account, this will work very well for you. It's called PDF to Human. I've got it saved here in my GPTs, but if you're looking for it on your screen, you can go to Explore GPTs, and you can type PDF. There's a lot of PDF readers. You can try some of them if you like. I personally like mine a lot. So you have to type the whole thing in because it's not very popular, even though it works better than others. This is what it looks like, and you can start a chat with it. And basically what you'll do is you'll take the document that you downloaded and drop it in and then just hit go. You want to make sure that you have it in thinking mode, of course. Because of the way that I've configured it, it already knows what I want it to do. And so it gives you a document overview. It tells you the style it is. So this is a critical, analytical, and argumentative essay. It says its method is described as a comprehensive and multidisciplinary literature review. Like I said, it had a really large bibliography. It then gives me citations for this article in APA, Chicago, and MLA style. It tells me the academic discipline. It tells me the research paradigm is exploratory. It's also prescriptive, so it's going to make recommendations for what should be done. And then it asks me if I'm ready to proceed to the next step. I'm going to say yes. Here's where it breaks the article down by headings, which is a good way to get oriented with an article. So this can also help if you're just trying to get oriented to the article to know what's there. So I can choose what section here I want scaled down in terms of information and clarified in terms of content. I'll just show you an example. So let's deal with 5, authorship. What is an author? So what this does is it creates a summary written at a simple level. It's generally pretty organized. It takes it step by step. This is what they say first, this is what they say second, third. Then it creates a glossary of important terms from the section, and so term and definition, which I think is quite helpful. And then it creates a bibliography of just those citations that are in only that section. You can probably already see the advantage of using a tool like this. You can also go in and it asks you which section would you like to scale down next, but you can ask it to do something else. So here I've asked it to do something that it's not configured to do, but being based on ChatGPT has the ability to do anyways. Please remember to apply all ethical principles when using a tool like this. It is not meant to be a shortcut. It is meant to be a way for you to reorganize how you approach articles rather than reading them linearly or rather than bouncing around in them. You can use a tool like this to get you oriented to what the article is. If you know that you're using an article for one specific purpose, like if I only need this article because it has a really good section on authorship, I can get oriented to that section before going back and reading that section properly. This kind of reorganization of the presentation of knowledge can be helpful for many people, but it's not for everyone.